Jin-Ho Park stood frozen at the massive entrance gate of the Galactic Academy of Space Defense. The gleaming silver towers reached so high they seemed to touch the purple sky of planet Nexus. His heart beat fast in his chest. After months of tests, interviews, and training, he was finally here. One of only 5 humans ever accepted to the most famous school in the galaxy. "Are you going to stand there all day?" A voice called from behind. Jin-Ho turned to see another human in the same gray cadet uniform. The young man had a friendly smile and walked with easy confidence. "I'm Dae-Sung Kim," he said, extending his hand. "You must be Jin-Ho. They told me another human was arriving today." Jin-Ho shook his hand, grateful to see a familiar species. "Is it as overwhelming as it looks?" Dae-Sung laughed. "Worse, but you'll get used to it. Come on, orientation starts in 10 minutes. They walked through the massive doorway, their footsteps echoing on the polished stone floor. Jin-Ho tried not to stare at the aliens that passed by. Some walked on 6 legs, others floated above the ground. A group of green-skinned cadets with pointed ears spoke in musical tones that made the air shimmer. "Most species have been traveling in space for thousands of years," Dae-Sung explained. "Humans are the new kids on the block. We've only had faster-than-light travel for 40 years. Jin-Ho nodded. Earth had been struggling with basic space travel when the Galactic Alliance found them. The aliens had technology humans could barely understand, but they saw potential in Earth and invited them to join. Now, 20 years later, a few extraordinary humans were allowed to train at the Academy. "How many alien species are here?" Jin-Ho asked. 57 at last count, Dae-Sung said. "Each with their own strengths. The 4-armed Vexari are natural engineers. Lumnians can read emotions. And those big blue guys? Those are Chronaxians, natural warriors with strength 3 times that of humans." Jin-Ho followed Dae-Sung's gaze to a group of tall, blue-skinned aliens. They had ridged brow plates and muscles that seemed to ripple under their skin. Their uniforms were decorated with symbols Jin-Ho didn't recognize. One of the Chronaxians, taller than the rest, turned and locked eyes with Jin-Ho. His gaze was cold and calculating. He said something to his friends, and they all laughed while staring at the humans. "That's Koro," Dae-Sung whispered. "Son of Supreme Commander Borak. He's been ranked first in combat training for 2 years. And he really doesn't like humans." "Why not?" Jin-Ho asked. "Chronaxians believe in strength above all. They think humans are too weak to be in the Alliance, let alone the Academy. They believe we got in because of politics, not merit." Before Jin-Ho could respond, a soft bell chimed throughout the hall. "That's our cue," Dae-Sung said. "Orientation time." They followed the crowd into an enormous circular room. The ceiling was a perfect replica of the galaxy, stars twinkling and planets rotating slowly. At the center stood a tall, slender alien with silver skin and 4 arms. "Welcome, new cadets," the alien's voice echoed without any visible amplification. "I am Dean Zor-El. You represent the finest young minds from across the Galactic Alliance. Your time here will test you beyond your limits." Jin-Ho sat between Dae-Sung and a reptilian alien that smelled faintly of cinnamon. He tried to focus on the Dean's words, but he could feel Koro's eyes boring into him from across the room. "You will be sorted into training groups based on your aptitude tests," the Dean continued. "These groups will be your family for the next 4 years. You will train together, study together, and grow together." After the speech, hovering screens appeared in front of each cadet, displaying their schedule and group assignment. "Advanced Combat Training Group 7, Jin-Ho read aloud. Dae-Sung looked over and winced. "Tough break. That's Koro's group." Jin-Ho's stomach dropped. Of all the possible assignments, he had to get the one with the alien who already seemed to hate him. The next morning, Jin-Ho arrived early at the combat training hall. The room was massive, with various training areas for different fighting styles. Some sections had increased gravity. Others had strange obstacles that moved unpredictably. He was stretching when a shadow fell over him. Jin-Ho looked up to see Koro towering above, flanked by two other Chronaxians. "Human," Koro said, his translator making his deep voice sound metallic. "You are in my training group." Jin-Ho stood, trying not to show fear. The top of his head barely reached Koro's shoulder. "I'm Jin-Ho Park." Koro ignored the introduction. "Humans do not belong at this academy. Your kind has contributed nothing to the Alliance. You barely understand the technology you use." "We all have to start somewhere," Jin-Ho replied, keeping his voice steady. Koro's blue skin darkened with what Jin-Ho guessed was anger. "Starting somewhere is finding your own solutions, not being handed gifts from advanced species. Humans skip steps. You don't earn your place." Other cadets were gathering now, watching the confrontation with interest. "I earned my place here," Jin-Ho said. "Same as you?" Koro laughed, a harsh sound that made Jin-Ho's skin crawl. "Your species is soft, weak. Even now your heart rate increases. I can hear it." Jin-Ho remained silent. It was true. Chronaxians had enhanced senses. Koro could probably detect every sign of Jin-Ho's discomfort. "Combat instructor approaching," one of Koro's friends warned. The Chronaxian leaned closer to Jin-Ho. "I will show everyone that humans don't belong here. Watch your back, little Earth child." They moved away just as the instructor entered. To Jin-Ho's surprise, it was a human, the only human staff member he had seen so far. "I am Instructor Taeho Choi," the man announced. His face was stern, with a scar running from his right eye to his jaw. "In this hall, we train in all combat forms from across the Alliance. Some of you have natural advantages. Others will need to rely on strategy and technique." His eyes briefly met Jin-Ho's before scanning the rest of the group. "Begin warm-up." "Sequence Alpha," Instructor Choi commanded. The next 2 hours were grueling. Jin-Ho struggled to keep up with the alien cadets, especially the Chronaxians. When they ran laps, Koro lapped him twice. In strength exercises, Jin-Ho could barely move, weights that the blue aliens lifted with ease. By the end, Jin-Ho was drenched in sweat and aching everywhere. As they filed out of the hall, Instructor Choi called him aside. "Park." A word. Jin-Ho approached, expecting criticism about his performance. "You're at a physical disadvantage," Instructor Choi said bluntly. "Yes, sir." Jin-Ho couldn't deny the obvious. To his surprise, the instructor's stern expression softened slightly. "I was the second human ever admitted to the academy. I know what you're facing." Jin-Ho looked up with new interest. "How did you manage?" "I played to human strengths. We can't match Chronaxian power or Trillarian speed, but humans have advantages. 2. Our adaptability, our problem-solving, our unpredictability." He paused. "Koro has singled you out already." "Yes, sir. He comes from a long line of warriors. His father expects perfection. Remember that. Every bully has their own pressures." Instructor Choi's face hardened again. "That doesn't excuse his behavior, but understanding your opponent is the first step to victory." Jin-Ho nodded, grateful for the advice. "Get some rest," the instructor said. "Tomorrow will be harder." As Jin-Ho walked back to his quarters, he passed a hall of fame showing images of top graduates. Most were species he didn't recognize, but near the end, he spotted a familiar face, a younger Instructor Choi, standing proud in graduation attire. For the first time since arriving, Jin-Ho felt a spark of hope. If one human could succeed here, so could he. No matter what Koro and his friends thought, Jin-Ho would prove that humans belonged among the stars. 3 weeks passed at the academy. Jin-Ho fell into a routine. Wake up early, eat a quick breakfast, attend classes on space tactics, alien languages, and advanced technology. then spend 2 painful hours in combat training with Koro and the other aliens in Group 7. Every day, Jin-Ho went to bed with aching muscles. Every morning, he woke up sore, but he was getting better. Slowly. In his tactical classes, Jin-Ho surprised everyone. He scored at the top on tests about space battle plans and emergency responses. The same creative thinking that helped humans survive on Earth worked well in space too. "Nice work on the rescue scenario," Dae-sung said as they ate lunch in the huge dining hall. "I heard you beat the previous record," Jin-Ho smiled. "Thanks. At least I'm good at something here." He rubbed his shoulder where a training bruise was still healing. "Don't let Koro get to you," Dae-sung said. "He's been worse since you beat his score." Jin-Ho looked up. "I beat Koro's score?" "On the tactical test. Word is spreading." Dae-sung pointed across the dining hall. Several aliens were looking their way, including a group of Chronaxians with Koro at the center. He was staring at Jin-Ho with pure anger on his blue face. "Great," Jin-Ho muttered. "That's all I need." A tray clattered down beside them. A human woman sat down with a friendly smile. She had short black hair and confident eyes. "Mind if I join you?" she asked. "I'm Ha-eun Lee, third-year cadet." "Of course," Jin-Ho said, surprised. He had seen Ha-eun around but never spoken to her. She was something of a legend among the few humans at the academy. "I heard about your tactical scores," she said. "Impressive. Not many first years outscore Koro in anything." Jin-Ho shifted uncomfortably. "I wish people would stop talking about that." "Why?" Ha-eun asked. "You should be proud." "Because every time I do well in class, Koro works twice as hard to humiliate me in combat training." Ha-eun nodded with understanding. "Chronaxians respect strength above all else, but their idea of strength is narrow. They only see physical power." "Which I'll never have," Jin-Ho said. "No," Ha-eun agreed. "But you have other strengths. You just need to show them in a way Chronaxians understand." Before Jin-Ho could ask what she meant, a shadow fell over their table. Koro stood there with 3 other Chronaxians behind him. "Human," Koro said, looking down at Jin-Ho. His voice was cold. "I hear you think you're clever." The dining hall grew quiet. Everyone was watching. Jin-Ho took a deep breath. "I just did well on a test, Koro, that's all." "Tests are not combat," Koro said. "In real battle, your clever plans mean nothing if you're too weak to carry them out." Several Chronaxians nodded in agreement. Jin-Ho didn't answer. He knew Koro was trying to provoke him. "Your presence here is an insult," Koro continued, his voice getting louder. "Humans have no place among warrior races. You should be serving food, not training as cadets." Dae-sung tensed beside Jin-Ho, but Ha-eun put a hand on his arm, stopping him from responding. Jin-Ho looked Koro in the eye. "We all have our own strengths." Koro laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the quiet hall. "You have no strength. You hide behind tests and words." "Is there a problem here?" a stern voice asked. Instructor Choi had appeared beside their table. Several other instructors watched from a distance. "No problem," Koro said. "I was just explaining academy traditions to the human." Instructor Choi raised an eyebrow. "Then perhaps you can explain in my office instead. Now." Koro's face darkened, but he followed the instructor out of the dining hall. The other Chronaxians drifted back to their table, and conversation slowly resumed. "That was close," Dae-sung breathed. "I thought he was going to hit you." Ha-eun shook her head. "No. Chronaxians don't start fights in dining halls. They have strict rules about where and when to fight." "Good to know," Jin-Ho said. Ha-eun leaned closer. "But be careful. Now that Instructor Choi stepped in, Koro will see it as humans protecting each other. He'll want to prove his point even more." That evening, Jinho was alone in the training hall. He had started coming after hours to practice without everyone watching. He was working on a fight simulation when the doors opened. Koro walked in alone this time. Jinho tensed. There were no instructors here now, no witnesses. "Relax, human," Koro said. "I'm not here to hurt you." Not yet. Jinho waited as Koro walked closer. The Chronaxian moved with surprising grace for someone so large. "Your instructor cannot protect you forever," Koro said. "And in space, humans will always be at a disadvantage." "Do you know why?" "I'm sure you'll tell me," Jinho replied. "Because the universe does not care about clever plans. It does not care about potential. It rewards strength." Koro tapped his chest. "My people understand this. We have fought and won battles across 3 galaxies. And my people survived on a planet with predators twice our size," Jinho said. "We made tools. We adapted. That's our strength." Koro smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Tools break, technology fails. Then what do you have?" "Each other," Jinho said simply. "Humans work together." "Like today? Hiding behind your instructor?" Koro shook his head. "I expected better from someone who beat my tactical score." Jinho felt a flicker of anger. "I wasn't hiding." "Prove it," Koro said. "I challenge you to Shorntak, the combat trial." Jinho had heard of Shorntak. It was an ancient Chronaxian tradition, a formal duel to prove worth. "If you refuse," Koro continued, "you admit humans don't belong at the academy. You speak for your entire species." The weight of those words hit Jinho hard. This wasn't just about him anymore. "What are the terms?" Jinho asked, trying to keep his voice steady. 3 days from now, the Arena of Valor. We fight until one submits or can no longer continue." Koro's eyes gleamed. "Don't worry, I won't kill you. But everyone will see that humans are too weak to be warriors." The door opened again, and Instructor Choi walked in. He looked from Koro to Jinho with narrowed eyes. "Cadet Koro, I believe I told you to return to your quarters." "I was just leaving, Instructor," Koro said. He turned to Jinho one last time. 3 days. Your answer?" Jinho knew he should refuse. He couldn't win against Koro in a fair fight. The Chronaxian was stronger, faster, and had years more training. But Jinho also knew what was at stake. If he backed down, it would confirm everything Koro and others believed about humans being weak and unworthy. "I accept," Jinho said. Instructor Choi's face showed surprise and concern. Koro merely nodded with satisfaction. "Then it is done," Koro said. "Prepare yourself, human." After Koro left, Instructor Choi turned to Jinho. "Do you understand what you just agreed to?" "A fight I can't win," Jinho admitted. "Shorntak isn't just a fight," Instructor Choi said, his voice serious. "It's a statement of worth. Many will be watching, including high-ranking Alliance officials." Jinho felt sick. What had he done? "Come with me," Instructor Choi said. "If you're going to do this, we need to start preparing now." As they walked out of the training hall, Jinho caught his reflection in a polished wall. He looked small and very human among all the alien architecture. But there was no backing out now. In 3 days, he would either prove humans belonged at the academy, or he would fail his entire species. Jinho sat in his small room, staring at the wall. His mind kept replaying his decision to accept Koro's challenge. What was he thinking? How could he possibly win against a Chronaxian in a physical fight? The door chimed. Jinho sighed and said, "Come in." The door slid open. Dae-sung walked in, followed by Ha-Yun and Instructor Choi. Their faces were serious. "We heard about the challenge," Dae-sung said. "The whole academy is talking about it." "Great," Jinho muttered. "More pressure." Instructor Choi crossed his arms. "You can still back out. The penalty for breaking a Shorntak challenge is social, not official." "I'd be branded a coward," Jinho said. "Better a live coward than a dead hero," Instructor Choi replied. I'm not backing out, Jinho said firmly. If I do, every human at the academy will suffer. Koro and his friends will say it proves humans don't belong here. Haun nodded with respect. Then we help you prepare. She placed a small device on Jinho's desk. It looked like a silver coin with tiny lights. What's that? Jinho asked. Combat analyzer, Haun explained. It reads body movements and predicts what an opponent will do next. It's legal in Shorntak. Many species use their natural advantages. Asarni use their sense of smell. Lumnians use mind reading. This balances the playing field. Jinho picked up the device. How does it work? It connects to this. Ha-Yun handed him what looked like a clear contact lens. You wear it in your eye. The analyzer sends information directly to your visual cortex. It will highlight Koro's weak points and predict his moves. That still doesn't solve the strength problem, Jinho said. Koro is 3 times stronger than me. You're not going to win through strength, Instructor Choi said. He sat on the edge of the desk. You're going to win through human adaptability. For the next hour, they explained their plan. Ha-Yun brought up images of Chronaxian anatomy on her tablet. Dae-Sung showed videos of past Chronaxian fights. Instructor Choi demonstrated movement techniques. Chronaxians evolved on a high-gravity world, Ha-Yun explained. They developed for power and endurance, not quick changes in direction. Their nervous system is slower than ours, Dae-Sung added. They have more muscle, but it takes them longer to start or stop a movement. Instructor Choi nodded. They expect opponents to either dodge completely or block head-on. They don't understand subtle movements. Jinho began to see a possible path to victory, not through matching Koro's strength, but by using the Chronaxians' own power against him. We have 2 days to prepare, Instructor Choi said. It won't be easy. You'll train harder than you ever have before. Jinho looked at the 3 humans who came to help him. He wasn't alone in this fight. Let's get started. For the next 2 days, Jinho barely slept. Every waking moment was spent training. In the morning, Instructor Choi taught him special movement techniques designed to counter Chronaxian fighting styles. In the afternoon, Dae-Sung helped him practice with the combat analyzer. In the evening, Ha-Yun showed him the weak points in Chronaxian anatomy. Their knee joints are vulnerable, she explained, pointing to a holographic model, and the nerve clusters here, and here can cause temporary paralysis if hit correctly. Jinho memorized every detail. He practiced until his muscles screamed, with pain, then practiced more. In his regular classes, other cadets watched him with a mix of curiosity and pity. Most believed he had no chance. The betting pools gave him odds of 50-1 against winning. Even some instructors seemed to think the fight was a mistake. During a space navigation class, his Vexari instructor pulled him aside. Human bodies are not designed for Shorntak, the 4-armed alien said kindly. There is no shame in withdrawing. Thank you for your concern, Jinho replied politely, but I need to do this. On the night before the fight, Jinho couldn't sleep. He sat on his bed, reviewing everything he had learned. His door chimed again. This time it was only Ha-Yun. She carried a small box. I brought you something, she said, sitting beside him. It might help tomorrow. Inside the box was a simple bracelet made of dark metal. It's earth steel, Ha-Yun explained. My father gave it to me when I left for the academy. He said it would remind me of human strength. Jinho shook his head. I can't take this. Just borrow it, Ha-Yun insisted. For luck. Reluctantly, Jinho put the bracelet on. The metal was cool against his skin. Can I ask you something? Jinho said quietly. How did you deal with it, being one of the only humans here? Ha-Yun was silent for a moment. I reminded myself why I came. Not to prove anything to aliens, but to learn and grow stronger. To help Earth find its place in the galaxy. She smiled. And I made friends who saw me as Ha-Yun, not just the human. Do you think we really belong here? Jin-Ho asked. Among species that have been in space for thousands of years? I know we do, Ha-Yun said firmly. Humans bring something unique to the Alliance. Our adaptability, our creativity, our determination. She stood up. Get some rest. Tomorrow you show Koro what humans are really made of. After she left, Jin-Ho lay back on his bed. He touched the bracelet and thought about Earth, about his family who had been so proud when he was accepted to the Academy, about all the humans working to prove themselves worthy of joining the galactic community. He closed his eyes and finally fell asleep. Jin-Ho woke before his alarm. The day of Shorntak had arrived. He felt strangely calm as he put on his training uniform and the special contact lens Ha-Un had given him. The combat analyzer he tucked into a hidden pocket. His door chimed. Instructor Choi stood outside, his face solemn. It's time, he said. They walked through the quiet morning corridors. Few cadets were awake yet, but those they passed stopped and stared. The arena is already filling up, Instructor Choi said. Word about the fight spread beyond the academy. Some Alliance officials have come to watch. Jin-Ho's stomach tightened. No pressure, right? Instructor Choi stopped before they reached the arena entrance. Jin-Ho, what you're doing today matters. Not just for you, but for all humans in the Alliance. He put a hand on Jin-Ho's shoulder. But remember, winning isn't everything. How you fight matters too. Jin-Ho nodded, understanding the deeper message. Instructor Choi was telling him to represent humanity well, win or lose. I'm ready, Jin-Ho said. They entered a small preparation room connected to the arena. Jin-Ho could hear the murmur of voices from the crowd outside. Dae-Sung was waiting, holding a water bottle and towel. Ha-Yun is saving seats, he said, trying to sound cheerful. Half the academy is out there. Jin-Ho took a deep breath and activated the combat analyzer. Immediately, his vision changed slightly. Data appeared at the edges, analyzing the room and people in it. A loud gong sounded 3 times, the signal that Shorntak would begin soon. That's your cue, Instructor Choi said. Jin-Ho walked toward the arena entrance. He could see the bright lights ahead and hear the crowd growing quiet. Jin-Ho, Dae-Sung called after him. Remember what Ha-Un said. Chronaxians respect strength, but strength comes in many forms. Jin-Ho nodded and stepped into the light. The moment of truth had arrived. Jin-Ho stepped into the arena of valor. Bright lights shone down from above. The circular fighting space was 50 feet across, with a glowing blue line marking the boundary. Around it rose seats filled with hundreds of academy cadets and staff. Jin-Ho even spotted some official-looking aliens in formal Alliance uniforms. The crowd noise dropped as Jin-Ho walked to the center. He searched the stands and found Ha-Un sitting with other human cadets. She nodded at him with confidence. A door opened on the opposite side of the arena. Koro entered to loud cheers from the Chronaxian section. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, his blue skin gleaming under the lights. He wore the traditional fighting clothes of his people, a simple black outfit that showed off his muscled arms. Jin-Ho felt very small in comparison. Dean Zor-El floated to the center of the arena. The 4-armed administrator raised his hands, and the crowd fell silent. Today we witness Shorntak, the dean announced, his voice carrying throughout the arena. The ancient combat trial of the Chronaxian people. Cadet Koro has challenged Cadet Jin-Ho Park. Both have agreed to the terms. The dean turned to Koro. Do you confirm your challenge? I do, Koro's deep voice rumbled. To prove that humans lack the strength to be true warriors. The dean turned to Jin-Ho. Do you accept this challenge of your own free will? Jin-Ho swallowed hard. I do. To prove that strength comes in many forms. The rules are simple, the dean continued. The fight continues until one combatant submits or can no longer continue. Lethal force is forbidden. No weapons allowed. He looked at both cadets. Take your positions. Jinho and Koro moved to opposite sides of the circle. A force field shimmered into place around the arena, protecting the spectators. Jinho activated the combat analyzer. His vision shifted slightly as data began flowing into his eye. He could see highlighted points on Koro's body, joints, nerve clusters, balance points. A tone sounded. The fight had begun. Koro didn't waste time. He charged forward like a bull, planning to end the fight quickly with his superior strength. The combat analyzer flashed a warning, showing Jinho exactly where Koro would be in the next second. Instead of diving completely out of the way, Jinho shifted just enough that Koro's massive arm missed him by inches. The Chronaxian's momentum carried him forward, forcing him to turn around. Confusion flickered on Koro's face. He had expected Jinho to either freeze in fear or leap away. Stand still and fight properly, Koro growled. Jinho didn't respond. He needed to save his energy. Koro attacked again, this time more carefully. He threw punches that would have knocked Jinho unconscious if they had landed. But each time, the combat analyzer predicted the movement, and Jinho moved just enough to avoid serious damage. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Koro's attacks grew more aggressive. The crowd watched in amazement as the small human kept avoiding the Chronaxian's powerful blows. Fight back, Koro shouted in frustration. Jinho remained focused. The combat analyzer was showing him something important. Koro was slowing down. His attacks were coming 0.2 seconds slower than at the start. The Chronaxian's fighting style used a lot of energy, and he wasn't used to extended fights. Jinho remembered what Instructor Choi had taught him. Let him tire himself out. Make him angry. Angry fighters make mistakes. Koro charged again. This time, instead of just avoiding the attack, Jinho used Koro's momentum to push the Chronaxian off balance. It wasn't much, like a fly pushing an elephant, but it was unexpected. Koro stumbled slightly. A murmur ran through the crowd. Koro's face darkened with anger. You mock me with these tricks? Fight like a warrior? I am, Jinho replied calmly. I'm fighting like a human warrior. This made Koro even angrier. He launched a series of wild attacks. Jinho avoided most, but took a glancing blow to his shoulder that sent pain shooting down his arm. 15 minutes into the fight, Jinho could see Koro breathing heavily. Chronaxians weren't built for extended combat. They expected to overpower opponents quickly. Now was the time to strike back. When Koro's next punch came, Jinho didn't just avoid it. He moved inside Koro's reach and struck the nerve cluster behind. The Chronaxian's elbow, exactly where Ha-Un had shown him. Koro's arm went temporarily numb. Surprise showed on Koro's face. The human had actually hurt him. The crowd grew louder. Jinho could hear humans cheering him on. Koro redoubled his efforts, swinging his good arm in a wide arc. Jinho ducked under it and struck again, this time hitting a sensitive point on Koro's side. The Chronaxian grunted in pain. How? Koro demanded. How do you know our weaknesses? Jinho didn't answer. He kept moving, kept watching the combat analyzer's predictions. 20 minutes into the fight, Koro was visibly tiring. His movements were becoming slower and less precise. The Chronaxian section of the crowd had grown quieter. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The human wasn't just surviving, he was fighting back. Then Koro made a critical mistake. Frustrated and tired, he tried a lunging attack that left him off balance. The combat analyzer flashed a bright warning. This was Jinho's chance. Jinho stepped aside and used Koro's own momentum to trip him. The massive alien crashed to the floor with a loud thud that echoed through the arena. Before Koro could recover, Jinho was on him, striking precisely at the nerve clusters behind his knees, the most vulnerable part of Chronaxian anatomy. Koro's legs went temporarily numb. He tried to stand, but couldn't. Jinho stood over the fallen Chronaxian. Yield, he said firmly. Never, Koro growled, struggling to move his legs. Jinho applied pressure to another nerve point. Not enough to cause permanent damage, but enough to send pain through Koro's body. Yield, Jinho repeated. The arena was completely silent now. Everyone watched in amazement. The small human had somehow defeated the Chronaxian champion. Koro looked up at Jinho with new eyes, not hatred now, but surprise and a grudging respect. I yield, Koro finally said. The words seemed to echo in the silent arena. Then the human section erupted in cheers. Other species joined in, impressed by the unexpected outcome. Jinho extended his hand to Koro. After a moment's hesitation, the Chronaxian took it, allowing Jinho to help him up. How did you beat me? Koro asked quietly. I used human strengths, Jinho replied. We're adaptable. We study. We find ways to overcome bigger challenges. Koro nodded slowly. Perhaps there is more than one kind of strength. Dean Zor-El floated back to the center of the arena. The Shorntak is complete. Cadet Jinho Park is the victor. As Jinho left the arena, his fellow humans surrounded him, cheering and patting his back. Instructor Choi gave him a proud nod. Hyun hugged him tightly. You did it, she whispered. You showed them all what humans can do. Later that evening, Jinho sat alone in the academy garden, looking up at the stars. So many worlds, so many species. And now humans had proven they belonged among them. He heard footsteps and turned to see Koro approaching. Jinho tensed, unsure what to expect. The Chronaxian stopped a respectful distance away. Your fighting style was unexpected, effective. Thank you, Jinho said cautiously. My people believe that combat reveals truth, Koro said. Today's truth is that I underestimated humans. He placed his fist against his chest in a Chronaxian salute. Perhaps we have things to learn from each other. As Koro walked away, Jinho smiled. This victory wasn't just about one fight. It was about changing minds, about showing the galaxy that humans, despite being new to the stars, had earned their place. A message alert chimed on his wrist device. It was from Earth's ambassador to the Alliance. Word of your victory is spreading fast. You've done more for human standing in the Alliance than a year of diplomatic talks. Well done, Cadet Park. Jinho looked back up at the stars, touching the Earth steel bracelet on his wrist. This was just the beginning. Humans had a long way to go in the galactic community, but today they had taken a giant step forward. The end.